All right, nice to see you here. Welcome back to BrainScratch, and this is episode 2 of the potential hoax review, as I'm calling it. And this time we're going to look at a story about the Paris Catacombs. And in part, I know a lot of us have Paris on our mind right now because of what happened there last week. I did just want to acknowledge that and I've seen a lot of comments from my viewers on videos about this. People are very passionate about that subject. There are some people that want to talk about, is there a potential hoax going on there or a false flag type situation going on there? And I have to agree with some of my commenters that I don't think this is the show for us to delve into that. However, I did want to acknowledge the event that it happened, and I wanted to send out my condolences for anyone affected by those deaths and that horrific tragedy. And I do hope that whoever is responsible for engineering it is brought to some form of justice. That being said, I did want to include a story from Paris. So this one is about the Paris Catacombs. Now, I've done a little bit of research on this, and it's kind of hard to pin down. I've seen numbers as low as 200 miles and numbers as high as 600 miles for how many miles of catacomb there are under the streets of Paris. Apparently it's a very intricate system. Any fans of video games, if you've played Assassin's Creed Unity, I believe that you had a few missions that kind of took you into these entry points into these catacombs under Paris, but they weren't nearly 200 or 400 or 600 miles long. That being said, a story has cropped up recently. It was featured on ABC Family as well as the Sci-Fi Channel, I believe. And essentially a filmmaker found a video camera. It was given to him by what are known as these kind of super fans of spelunking in the catacombs called cataphiles. Apparently, one of these cataphiles found a video camera down there, brought the video camera back to a filmmaker. Not quite sure exactly how that happened, but on this video camera was footage, almost like one of those horror movies you've seen with found footage, like Blair Witch Project or something like that. And in the footage, you essentially see, from the few minutes that are available, someone wandering around the catacombs. They start running at some point, like they're afraid of something, and they drop the camera and run away from it at the end of the video, and then the video just runs out from there. We do have a little clip of it here.
So basically he's filming what he's seeing very deep inside the catacombs, other than the point of view shots or pictures of human bones. The catacombs for centuries. So it is possible with these paintings that
that guy
we'll
in
be able
mind.
to retrace an itinerary to some extent.
So I don't want to show the whole video, but thanks to Real Alien Visitors for posting this kind of concise view of the found footage, and of course there's a link below if you want to check it out for yourself. As we go on here, remember that little guy I told you to remember? So here's where this starts falling into hoax territory for me. As I started researching this, I looked for information about this videographer, any potential identity. I couldn't find anything on that. Everything I found about this story literally points back to this one segment and this specific filmmaker. Everything. Every article I found, every web link, every video I've seen, everything points back to this one specific telling of this filmmaker. And when you consider what I was talking about earlier, you're talking 600 miles of underground tunnels. He goes on an expedition for one day in these 600 miles. Now keep in mind, he might have had some information about where the camera was found, possibly from his cataphile friend. So that might even debunk my own theory a little bit, but I find it extremely, man, this guy is really, really lucky for him to go into this area with hundreds of miles of tunnels, and this happens.
I think I saw this on the tape. This figure with the arms outstretched, the legs outstretched. And I think after this, The camera turns right.
Now, if you watch the whole segment, you're going to see these guys are supposedly lost. They're trying to get to areas to get out where supposedly there's a door that's supposed to be open for them, and it's not. It's a manhole that's been covered up or something like that. It's strange because they seem to have information about where they are, but then they act like they don't. They talk a lot about the fear of being down there in terms of if their batteries run out and their lights go out, that they are essentially done, that they wouldn't be able to find their way out. Which is another strange point because they have multiple light sources and they're burning them all at the same time. And if you really wanted to conserve your light batteries, you might want to think about turning a few of them off and relying on fewer, which they don't seem to do. Just to jump to the end here so you can see him speak about his experience.
Very tough. We didn't solve the mystery. I don't think anyone ever will. There's too many miles of fucking tunnels in there. But we'll never understand what frightened whoever it was that dropped the stake.
He seems very certain that the mystery won't be solved and that we're never going to understand what frightened this guy. He thinks he's acknowledging hundreds of miles of tunnels, yet he only spent one day trying to research this. He doesn't appear to do any other research in terms of identifying this person, potentially reviewing missing persons records and seeing if someone lines up with this. Did someone note that their family member went exploring in the catacombs and did not come back? There is no information about any of that. On an interesting note for entertainment-minded people, this episode seems to be narrated by that creepy old woman that was in Poltergeist. It's either her or a voice alike that is just nailing her. So it is worth watching, especially for entertainment value to me. But it raised a lot of questions for me about this man. I did some searching for Francis Friedland, and unfortunately could not find anything, particularly about a filmmaker. Francis Freedland is a little bit of a common name, but as a filmmaker, not so common. I did find one IMDB entry that mentions a cinematographer, did a little work, extremely little work, only in 1981 and 1990, and then again in 2003, and in that he was only a camera operator. So it's a bit strange because at this point I don't know if I can even buy the credibility of this supposed filmmaker. The only results that once again come back are all pointing back to that one same video. And is this possibly something that was concocted by someone just to be a viral sensation, like the Apollo 20 hoax? I think it's possible, but we'll save my final opinion for the end. You've made it through part 2. Are you going to go to part 3? Be sure to click and follow along to find the answer out. Which one of these is definitely a hoax? See you on the next episode.